My name is Darcy Ingram. I was 32 years old when my father threw my 8-year-old daughter into a thunderstorm. 3 hours. That's how long my daughter sat in a storm drain before someone found her. 3 hours of rain hitting her face, of wind tearing through her jacket, of thunder shaking the concrete under her body. She was 8. She weighed 52 pounds, and my father opened the door and pushed her out like she was a stray dog who'd knocked over the trash. He did it because of a lie told by her 10-year-old cousin, a lie my parents never questioned, not for 1 second, because questioning it would have meant admitting the truth about who they'd been protecting all along. What happened in that hospital room 3 hours later, and what my father said when he saw me sitting by her bed, changed everything. But what none of them knew was that I had already made the call that would end their world as they knew it. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories. This is where we share real stories about the moments that test your family and the quiet strength it takes to protect the people you love most. If this story speaks to you, drop a comment and be sure to subscribe. I joined the Army at 18, not because I loved the idea of uniforms and salutes, because it was the only door my father couldn't close. Ray Ingram had a very clear picture of what his daughters should be. Married young, close to home, grateful for everything he provided and quiet about everything he didn't. My sister Jenna fit that picture perfectly. She married Derek Walsh at 21, had Tyler at 22, and moved into a house 10 minutes from my parents. My father smiled at her wedding like he'd just won the lottery. I chose ROTC, then Officer Candidate School, then a logistics commission out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Every step I took further from home, my father's silence got louder. By the time I was 24, I was a first lieutenant managing supply chains for a brigade. By the time I was 25, I was pregnant. The father, a civilian contractor named Marcus, left when I was 6 months along. No forwarding address, no phone call. Just an empty apartment and a note that said, "I'm not ready." I had Lily alone. Raised her on base housing and meal plans and every scrap of leave I could scrape together. My mother called once a week. My father called once a month. And when they did, the question was always the same. "When are you coming home, Darcy?" I never answered that question the way they wanted, but I always answered Lily's. "Where are we going next, Mommy?" "Wherever the Army sends us, baby. And we'll make it work." I was good at making things work. I was not good at seeing what was happening when I wasn't there to watch. When I got orders for a 9-month rotation in Kuwait, I had 72 hours to finalize my family care plan. Every military parent knows that form. It's Department of Defense standard. You designate a caregiver. You sign custody paperwork. You leave your child with someone you trust and you fly halfway around the world hoping you made the right choice. My parents volunteered before I asked. My mother called the morning after I told her about the deployment. "She's our granddaughter. Of course we'll take her." I remember feeling relieved. Lily would be in a house with a yard, a school district rated 8 out of 10, and 2 grandparents who had raised 2 kids of their own. The alternative was my Army buddy's wife, a woman Lily had met twice. The choice felt obvious. I signed the family care plan designating Ray and Connie Ingram as Lily's temporary legal guardians. I set up an automatic transfer of $1,200 a month into their checking account. Childcare, groceries, school supplies. My father never mentioned the money. Not once. And I later found out he never told Jenna either. Jenna's son Tyler was already practically living at my parents' house. He had a bedroom there, a toothbrush in the bathroom, a drawer full of clothes. When Lily arrived with her suitcase, my mother put her in the guest room, the one with the pull-out couch and no curtains. Tyler had a room with baseball posters and a nightlight shaped like a rocket. Lily had a couch that folded. I didn't know that then. Lily didn't tell me. And when I asked my mother if Lily was settled, she said, "She's adjusting just fine." That was the first lie. It wouldn't be the last. The night before I deployed, I sat on Lily's bed in our base housing apartment and pulled a small card from my pocket. Military Dependent ID, her photo on the front. My name printed underneath. Emergency contact number on the back. I clipped it to the inside pocket of her backpack. "What's that for?" she asked. This tells anyone who finds you that you belong to me. No matter where I am. No matter how far. You show someone this card and they will call your mom. She ran her fingers over the plastic. Even if you're in another country? Even then. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that should have stopped me cold. What if Grandpa gets mad again? Again. I set down the water bottle I was packing and looked at her. What do you mean again? She picked at the edge of her blanket. Nothing. He just gets loud sometimes. Loud how? Like when Tyler breaks something and Grandpa thinks I did it. He yells, but then Grandma says it's fine. I knelt in front of her. Has Grandpa ever scared you? She shrugged. 8-year-old shrug. The kind that means yes but doesn't have the vocabulary for it yet. I filed it away. Told myself I'd watch more carefully from overseas. Told myself I'd ask my mother about it. Told myself that my father was strict, not dangerous, and that Lily was safe. I was wrong about one of those things. And by the time I figured out which one, my daughter was in a storm drain 4 blocks from my parents' house. I kissed her forehead. I'll call you every week, I promise. Promise. I kept that promise. My parents didn't keep theirs. Kuwait was hot, flat, and 18 hours ahead of Tennessee. My workdays ran 12 to 14 hours managing supply routes for 3 forward operating bases. I scheduled my video calls for 6 in the morning local time, noon back home, because that was Lily's lunch break at school. Except the calls never happened at school. My mother insisted on hosting them from the kitchen. Better Wi-Fi, she said. But the real reason became clear after the second week. Connie was always in the frame, hovering behind Lily, adjusting the camera angle, smiling. How's school, baby? Fine. What did you do today? Stuff. Are you and Tyler getting along? Pause. I don't know. She used to talk for 20 minutes straight. About the caterpillar she found. About the girl in her class who could burp the alphabet. About the bird that landed on the playground fence. Now she gave me single-word answers and looked past the camera like she was waiting for permission to leave. I tried asking my mother directly. Is something going on with Lily? She seems different. Connie waved her hand. She's adjusting. All kids do this when their routine changes. She just needs time. Can I talk to her alone next time? Without you in the room? The Wi-Fi is better in the kitchen, Darcy. You know that. I didn't push it. I should have. 2 weeks later, I noticed something else. Lily stopped mentioning Tyler by name. Used to be, Tyler and I played in the yard, or Tyler showed me his baseball cards. Now it was just silence when I asked. You and Tyler doing okay? She looked down. Yeah. You sure? Can I go now, Mom? Grandma says lunch is ready. I let her go. I shouldn't have. The care package arrived on a Tuesday. Brown cardboard box, stamps slightly crooked. My mother's handwriting on the label. Inside, 2 bags of Lily's favorite gummy bears, a photo of Lily at a school event, and a folded piece of construction paper. I opened the drawing. Stick figures. Left side of the page. A tall man, a woman with curly hair, a smaller woman holding hands with a boy. All grouped together, smiling. Bright crayon colors. Red, yellow, blue. Right side. 1 figure. Small. No smile. Brown hair. Standing alone. No one touching her. At the bottom, in careful child handwriting, my family. I sat on my bunk and stared at it for a long time. My daughter drew herself outside her own family. I called home immediately. My father answered. His voice carried that edge it always had when I called during his evening shows. Is Lily there? She's upstairs. What do you want? I got a drawing from her. She drew the family and she put herself off to the side. Alone. Silence. Then a grunt. Kids draw nonsense, Darcy. Don't read into everything. She drew everyone else holding hands. She drew herself standing by herself. She's fine. Your mother takes good care of her. Maybe if you were here instead of playing soldier across the ocean, your daughter wouldn't draw sad pictures. He hung up. I pulled out a small notebook I kept in my footlocker. The kind with the hard green cover and the elastic band. I wrote the date. I wrote what he said. I wrote what the drawing showed. Then I folded the drawing and slipped it into the breast pocket of my uniform. It stayed there for 4 months, against my chest, against my heart. I started paying attention to the details I'd been missing. Small things, things that added up. Lily's school had an online portal, parent access. I could see attendance records, teacher notes, after-school pickup logs. I checked every morning before my shift. Tyler Walsh, picked up by Ray Ingram every day at 3:15. Car pickup lane, like clockwork. Lily Ingram, enrolled in after-school program, pick up at 5:30. Different parent listed for emergency contact. My mother, not my father. He didn't even put his name on her file. I called the school office. The receptionist was kind. Lily's doing well academically. She's quiet though. Very quiet. Does someone pick her up? She's in the extended day program. Her grandmother picks her up around 5:30, sometimes closer to 6. Tyler left at 3:15. Lily waited 2 more hours, every day. Tyler's birthday in October. I saw photos on Jenna's social media. 15 kids. Bounce house in the backyard. Cake shaped like a baseball diamond. My parents grinning behind a table of presents they'd paid for. Lily's birthday in January. My mother texted me a single photo. Lily at the kitchen table. A store-bought cake. No candles. No friends. Just my mother standing behind her and a paper plate with a slice of yellow cake. I called my mother that night. Why was Lily's birthday so different from Tyler's? We already spent a lot this month, Darcy, and Lily didn't want a big party. She's 8. What 8-year-old doesn't want a party? Tyler lives here full-time. Lily is temporary. Temporary. She used that word like it was a fact, not a knife, but it cut just the same. And I knew right then that in my parents' house, my daughter was a guest. Tyler was the grandchild. I sat down at the comm station at 0300 and typed a hardship reassignment request. 2 pages. Single-spaced. Facts only. Military regulation allows early return when family care plan conditions change materially. I cited documented concerns about my designated caregiver's treatment of my dependent child. I attached the school counselor's contact information, the pickup log discrepancy, and a scanned copy of Lily's drawing. My commander, Colonel Barrett, read it the next day. He called me into his office, sat me down, and said, "Ingram, is your daughter safe?" "I don't know, sir. And that's the problem." He signed the request that afternoon and sent it up the chain. Then I called Captain Elena Rivera, JAG. We'd served together at Fort Sill 3 years earlier. She was stationed at Campbell, and she owed me a favor for covering her supply audit when her kid got sick. "Rivera, I need legal advice, off the record for now. Talk to me. My parents are my designated caregivers for Lily. I think there's favoritism, maybe neglect. I need to know my options." She didn't hesitate. "Document everything, screenshots, school reports, dates. If this goes legal, you want a paper trail that starts before the incident, not after. There hasn't been an incident. Then you're ahead of the curve. Stay there." I spent the next 2 months building a file. Every phone call logged, every drawing scanned, every text from my mother saved to a folder on my laptop labeled Family. I didn't tell my parents I was seeking early return. I didn't tell Jenna. I didn't tell anyone except Rivera and Colonel Barrett. 2 months of paperwork. 2 months of waiting. And then, 3 weeks before my reassignment came through, Tyler told the lie that changed everything. I trusted my parents with the most important person in my life, and for 2 years, I missed the signs that my daughter was becoming invisible in her own family. If you have ever felt that gut feeling that something was wrong but could not prove it, stay with me. Drop a comment, and let us keep going. Tyler Walsh had been lying about Lily for months. I just didn't have the full picture until later. The first lie was small, a broken television remote. Tyler threw it at the wall during a tantrum over a video game. When Ray stormed into the living room, Tyler pointed at Lily. She dropped it. Lily said she didn't. Ray told her to stop making excuses and sent her to her room. The second lie was about cookies. My mother baked a batch of snickerdoodles for Tyler's classroom party. Half the tray disappeared overnight. Tyler told Connie that Lily ate them after dinner. The truth was, Tyler had given them to his friend from across the street. My mother never asked Lily her side. She just said, "You need to learn some self-control." The third lie was worse. Tyler told his teacher that Lily had called him a name at recess. The teacher separated them for a week. When the school counselor looked into it, no witnesses could confirm Tyler's story. But the separation had already happened, and Lily spent that week eating lunch alone. Each time, the same pattern. Tyler spoke. Adults believed. Lily denied. Adults dismissed. My mother once told Lily, "Don't be a tattletale. Nobody likes a child who makes up stories." Lily stopped telling anyone anything. She drew instead. I learned about most of this from the school counselor, Mrs. Patterson, who had been meeting with Lily once a week since November. Lily trusted her because Patterson never interrupted her drawings. She just sat and waited. Patterson told me later, "Your daughter doesn't talk much, but her drawings say everything." Ray's rule was simple and absolute. Tyler didn't lie, and anyone who said otherwise was the problem. My mother had a pearl necklace that she treated like it was made of moonlight. It belonged to her mother, and before that, her grandmother. 3 generations of Ingram women had worn it at their weddings, their christenings, their milestone birthdays. My mother kept it in a small velvet box on her dresser and took it out every Sunday before church. One Sunday in February, during a family dinner I wasn't present for, my mother lifted the velvet box from the dresser and brought it to the table. She opened it in front of Tyler. "This was your great-grandmother's," she said. "Someday, when you're older, I'll pass it down to you." Tyler's eyes went wide. He reached for it and Connie let him hold it. She watched him turn the pearls over in his small fingers and she smiled like she was watching a sacred tradition unfold. Lily, sitting across the table, asked quietly, "Can I hold it too?" My mother didn't look at her. "Not right now, sweetheart. You might drop it." Tyler smirked. Lily put her hands in her lap. Jenna, sitting beside Tyler, leaned toward my mother and said just loud enough for Lily to hear, "You know Lily's clumsy. Remember the vase?" The vase. A ceramic vase Tyler had knocked off the shelf while roughhousing. He told my parents Lily bumped it. They believed him. My mother spent the rest of that evening reminding Lily to be more careful with other people's things. After dinner, Lily went to the guest room. She sat at her desk and drew. She didn't come out until my mother called her for her bath. Nobody checked on her. Nobody asked what she was drawing. Nobody noticed she had gone quiet again. Mrs. Patterson called me on a Saturday morning, 5 in the afternoon her time. I was eating dinner in the mess hall when my personal phone buzzed with a Tennessee number I didn't recognize. "Lieutenant Ingram, this is Gail Patterson. I'm the counselor at Millbridge Elementary. I work with Lily." I stepped outside. The wind was hot and smelled like diesel. "Is she okay?" "Physically, yes, but I wanted to talk to you about some patterns I've been seeing." She told me Lily had been increasingly withdrawn since January. She no longer played with other children at recess. She sat in the corner of the cafeteria and drew. She flinched when adults raised their voices near her. Then Patterson told me something that made me grip the railing so hard my knuckles turned white. She told me her grandfather says she's not a real Ingram. I closed my eyes. The heat pressed against my face. He said that. Those were her exact words. She said he told her that real Ingrams don't steal and don't lie. Not a real Ingram. My father said that to me the day I told him I was enlisting. He stood in the kitchen of the house I grew up in and said, "Real Ingrams stay with their family. You're walking out on everything." Now he was saying it to my daughter, 8 years old, 52 pounds. And he was telling her she didn't belong. Patterson continued, "I'm not required to file a formal report yet, but I wanted you to be aware." "Thank you. Can you email me your session notes?" "I can send them to your military email by Monday." I hung up, forwarded the voicemail to Rivera, and added 3 lines to the green notebook. My father had learned nothing, and my daughter was learning all the wrong things. I called Jenna the next day. I told myself it would be a sister-to-sister conversation. Calm, honest. Two mothers talking about what was best for the kids. It lasted 4 minutes. Is Lily doing okay at Mom and Dad's? Her school counselor says she's been withdrawn. Jenna sighed. The kind of sigh that was loud enough to make sure I heard it. She's fine, Darcy. She just needs to learn her place. Tyler's been here longer. He knows the routine. She needs to learn her place. I let those words sit in my ear for a full 3 seconds before I trusted myself to respond. What does that mean, Jen? Learn her place? It means your daughter walks around that house like she's a guest instead of pitching in. Tyler helps Dad in the garage. Tyler sets the table without being asked. Lily sits in her room and draws. She's 8. Tyler was doing chores at 8. Tyler has 2 parents and a bedroom with a nightlight. Lily has a pull-out couch. Silence. Then Jenna said the thing I wasn't prepared for. I told Mom and Dad that maybe you should just let them adopt Lily. You're never here anyway. She needs stability, Darcy. She needs a real family environment. My throat tightened. Not from sadness, from the effort of keeping my voice even. Adopt my daughter. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. I hung up without another word. Opened my laptop, pulled up the Army Legal Assistance portal. Started drafting notes for a formal custody review. My sister wanted my parents to adopt my child. She'd said it out loud like it was a reasonable suggestion, like my motherhood was a lease she thought had expired. I decided that night that when I came home, I was coming home armed, not with weapons, with paperwork. 3 weeks later, the reassignment came through. I was going home. Colonel Barrett handed me the paperwork in his office with a look that was half relief and half concern. Ingram, whatever's going on, handle it. Your kid needs you more than logistics does. I packed my footlocker in 40 minutes. Green notebook, laptop, phone charger, Lily's drawing in my breast pocket. Everything else was Army issue and could stay. My flight left Kuwait at 0600. 17 hours of turbulence and layovers. I landed at Nashville International at 2 in the afternoon, Central Time. Rented a car at the Hertz counter with my military ID. Drove to a Holiday Inn 12 minutes from my parents' house. I did not call them. I did not drive by their house. I sat on the hotel bed with my phone in my hand and called Rivera. I'm stateside, landed 2 hours ago. Good. Your family care plan revocation request is drafted. I can file it first thing Monday morning. What happens after you file? Your parents lose designated caregiver status. Legal guardianship reverts to you immediately. If they refuse to return Lily, we go to family court. And if something happens before Monday, then we file emergency. But Darcy, let the process work. If you confront them now, they'll play victim. Your father will say you're unstable. Your mother will cry. Your sister will tell everyone you abandoned your daughter and now you're attacking the people who stepped up. She was right. I knew she was right. Don't tell anyone you're back. Go to the school first. Talk to the counselor. Build your case in daylight. I was coming home, but this time, I wasn't coming home as their daughter. I was coming home as Lily's mother. And there was a difference between those two things that my parents were about to learn. I drove to Millbridge Elementary the next morning, 9:15 on a Thursday. The parking lot smelled like wet mulch and bus exhaust. Mrs. Patterson was waiting for me. She had a folder, manila, thick. My daughter's name written on the tab in blue ink. Thank you for meeting me, I said. I've been hoping you'd come. She opened the folder on her desk. 6 months of Lily's drawings, arranged by date. The first one, from September. Lily and Tyler at a table. Tyler big, Lily smaller. Both smiling. Normal. Fine. October. Family grouped together. Lily drawn slightly to the left. Still smiling, but a gap had appeared between her figure and the others. November. Lily's figure smaller, the other figures taller, no one holding her hand. December. Grandpa's face. A large circle. Red crayon. Mouth wide open. Tiny figure at the bottom. Tears drawn as blue dots. January. Tyler's birthday. A boy surrounded by balloons and people and presents. In the bottom right corner, a girl with brown hair sitting alone, an X drawn over her body. February. Just 2 figures. One small with brown hair, one tall, wearing green, holding hands. The caption, in wobbly letters, "What I want." I turned that last drawing over in my hands 3 times. Patterson said quietly, "She drew you in your uniform." "I know." "She never drew her grandparents after December. She stopped including them." I photographed every drawing, front and back, dates visible. Then I photographed Patterson's session notes. 12 pages of observations, quotes, behavioral flags. I sent the entire file to Rivera. Then I sat in my rental car in the school parking lot and cried. The kind of crying that comes from the chest, not the eyes. The kind where your hands grip the steering wheel because if you let go, you might not stop shaking. 7 months overseas. 7 months of 12-hour shifts and satellite calls, and she's adjusting just fine. Those drawings were going to speak louder than anything I could say in court. That afternoon, I parked across the street from my parents' house. 3:45. School bus due any minute. Tyler came first. My father walked out to meet him at the curb. Ruffled his hair. Took his backpack. Said something I couldn't hear, but that made Tyler laugh. They walked inside together. Door stayed open. 20 minutes later, the second bus came. Lily stepped off. She stood on the sidewalk for a moment, adjusting her backpack straps. Then she walked up the driveway. The front door was closed. She knocked. My 8-year-old daughter knocked on the door of the house she'd been living in for over a year. My mother opened it. No greeting, no smile. "Wipe your shoes and pick up your stuff from the hallway." Lily walked inside. The door closed behind her. Through the front window, I could see Tyler on the couch. Snack plate, television, feet up. Lily disappeared upstairs within 30 seconds. I sat in my car with both hands on the wheel and made myself breathe. Then I called Mrs. Calloway. Phyllis Calloway. 70 years old. Lived next door to my parents since before I was born. She taught me how to make lemonade when I was 6. She brought my mother pie every Thanksgiving. "Mrs. Calloway, it's Darcy. I'm back from deployment." "Darcy? Oh, honey. Oh, honey, I'm glad you called. I need to ask you something about Lily." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "That little girl sits on the porch alone every evening after dinner, Darcy, while Tyler plays in the yard with your father. She just sits there. Have you seen anything else? Your father yells at her like she's a stray, Darcy. I hear it through the walls. It's been getting worse since Christmas." I wrote down every word she said. Date, time, details. That evening, I drove to my parents' house. I told myself I was just going to check. Park in the driveway. Maybe knock. Maybe take Lily right then. I pulled in at 7:15. The kitchen light was on. The television flickered in the living room window. Then I heard it. My father's voice, through the front door, loud enough to reach the car. "I told you to clean up after dinner. Tyler doesn't have to tell you twice." Lily's voice, small and careful. "I did clean up, Grandpa. Don't talk back to me. Go upstairs and stay there until you can behave." A pause. The creak of stairs. Then nothing. My hand was on the car door. My fingers wrapped around the handle. Every part of me wanted to walk up those steps, open that door, and carry Lily to the car without saying a single word to my father. But Rivera's voice was louder than my anger. "If you confront them now, they'll play victim. You need the system on your side." I closed my eyes, pulled my hand off the handle. I backed out of the driveway, drove 4 blocks, pulled over. That was the hardest 3-point turn I ever made in my life. I called Rivera from the hotel parking lot. "File the family care plan revocation first thing tomorrow. I want it on record." "Done. I'll have the paperwork submitted by 0900. Rivera, what if something happens before then? Then you call 911 and you call me. In that order." I sat in the hotel room that night and stared at the ceiling. 9 hours until morning. 9 hours until paperwork. 9 hours of trusting that nothing would go wrong. But I didn't have 9 hours, because the storm came that night. Here is what happened in my parents' house that evening. I learned the details later, from Tyler's interview, from Mrs. Calloway, from my mother's own tearful confession. Around 8:30, my mother went upstairs to put on her necklace for the next morning's church outfit. She opened the velvet box on her dresser. Empty. She searched the bedroom, then the bathroom, then the hallway. Then she went downstairs and started pulling open drawers in the kitchen, the living room, the front closet. Ray, my mother's necklace is gone. I can't find it anywhere. My father stood up from his recliner. What do you mean, gone? It's not in the box. It's not on the dresser. I've looked everywhere. Tyler was in the living room. He watched the panic build for about 90 seconds. Then he walked to my father. Grandpa, I saw Lily put something in her backpack earlier, after school. She was being sneaky about it. My father didn't ask a follow-up question. He didn't ask Tyler what exactly he saw, or when exactly it happened. He walked straight to the guest room, grabbed Lily's backpack from the floor, and unzipped it. The pearl necklace was inside. Tyler had placed it there that afternoon while Lily was upstairs doing homework. He'd taken it from the velvet box, walked it to the guest room, and slipped it into the front pocket of her bag. Then he'd zipped it closed and gone back to the television. He was 10 years old. He knew exactly what would happen. My father's face turned a shade of red I'd only seen once before, the day I told him I was joining the army. Lily, get down here, now. She came down the stairs in her pajamas, bare feet on the hardwood, hands at her sides. She had no idea what was coming. The storm had been building since sundown. By 8:45, the rain was sideways. Wind gusts shook the gutters and sent branches scraping across the roof. A March thunderstorm in Tennessee, the kind that turns streets into rivers and knocks out power lines. Inside the house, my father held up the pearl necklace in one hand and Lily's backpack in the other. You stole this from your grandmother's dresser. I didn't, Grandpa. I didn't take it. It was in your bag. I don't know how it got there. He threw the backpack on the floor. 2 years I've put up with this. 2 years of your attitude, your lying, your sneaking around. My mother stood behind him, clutching the necklace against her chest. She said nothing. She didn't defend Lily. She didn't ask questions. Jenna arrived 10 minutes later. My parents had called her. She walked in, saw Lily sitting on the bottom stair, and crossed her arms. This is what happens when a child doesn't have structure. I've been saying it for months. Tyler stood in the living room doorway. He didn't speak. He picked at his fingernails and watched. My father leaned over Lily. You have anything to say for yourself? I didn't do it, Grandpa. He straightened up, looked at my mother, looked at Jenna, then looked back at Lily. Tyler said he saw you. Your grandmother is heartbroken, and you're sitting here lying to my face. Thunder cracked outside. The kitchen window rattled. Lily pressed her back against the stair railing. She held her knees to her chest. She didn't cry. She just went very, very still. The kind of still that 8-year-olds learn when the adults around them have become unpredictable. And then my father said the words that put my daughter in the hospital. He stood over her on the stairs, Jenna behind his right shoulder, my mother behind his left. I've had enough of you. His voice filled the hallway like it owned the walls. 2 years of your behavior, the lying, the attitude, the stealing. I didn't steal anything, Grandpa. Tyler doesn't lie. It came out of his mouth the way scripture comes out of a preacher. Absolute, final, unquestionable. Tyler doesn't lie. The sun rises in the east, water is wet. And Tyler doesn't lie. My mother touched my father's arm. Ray, maybe we should... He pulled his arm away. No, I'm done. She needs to learn what happens when she disrespects this family. Jenna, from behind. Dad's right. This has gone on way too far. Tyler, still in the doorway, said nothing. He pressed his back against the frame and picked at the skin around his thumbnail. A nervous habit. The kind a 10-year-old develops when the lie he told is growing bigger than he planned. My father reached down and grabbed Lily's backpack from the floor, shoved it into her lap. You want to act like you don't belong here? Fine. Lily looked at him. Then she looked past him, at my mother. Connie's eyes were wet, but her mouth was a flat line. She didn't move, didn't reach for Lily, didn't step between them. Then Lily looked at Jenna. Jenna uncrossed her arms long enough to check her phone. My daughter looked at every adult in that hallway, and not a single one of them looked back. My father walked to the front door. The sound of rain filled the house the second he turned the handle. Wind pushed the door open wider than he meant it to. He didn't close it. He just pointed. Get out. I don't need a lying granddaughter. Those words left his mouth at 8:53 on a Thursday evening in March. The rain was falling so hard it bounced off the porch steps. The wind had already knocked a branch off the maple tree in the front yard. The temperature had dropped 14 degrees in the last 2 hours. Lily stood up from the stairs. She didn't argue. She didn't scream. She picked up her backpack, slipped her arms through the straps, and walked to the door. She was wearing pajamas, cotton pants with little stars on them, a long-sleeved shirt that said Future Scientist. No shoes, no jacket, no phone. She stepped through the doorway and the rain hit her immediately. Within seconds, her hair was flat against her face. My father slammed the door behind her. Next door, Mrs. Calloway was rinsing her dinner plate when she heard the slam. She looked through her kitchen window and saw a small figure walking down the sidewalk. In the rain, in pajamas, bare feet slapping wet concrete. She picked up her phone. 911. There's a child walking alone outside in this storm. She just came out of the house next door. Inside my parents' house, my mother sat down at the kitchen table. She held the pearl necklace in both hands and stared at it. Ray, maybe we should let her back in. She'll catch a cold. She'll come back when she's ready to apologize. Jenna put on her coat. I need to get home before the roads get bad. Tyler, let's go. Tyler didn't move right away. He stood in the doorway looking at the closed front door. He stayed there for about 5 seconds. Then he followed his mother to the garage. Nobody went after Lily. Nobody checked the porch. Nobody looked out the window. My daughter walked 4 blocks in a thunderstorm before she found a storm drain large enough to crawl into. She sat inside it, hugging her knees, her backpack over her head, until the blue and red lights found her. The police officer who found her was named Gutierrez, patrol unit, responding to Mrs. Calloway's call. He drove the route 3 times before his flashlight caught the glint of a backpack reflector inside a concrete drainage opening 4 blocks from my parents' house. Lily was shaking so hard she couldn't speak. Her feet were bleeding from running barefoot on asphalt. Her lips were blue. She held her backpack against her chest like a shield. Gutierrez wrapped her in a thermal blanket from his trunk and radioed for an ambulance. EMTs arrived in 9 minutes. They transported her to County General. Mild hypothermia, scrapes on both knees and the soles of both feet. Dehydrated, heart rate elevated. Not critical, but not okay. At the hospital, a nurse checked Lily's backpack for identification. Inside the front pocket, tucked into the same slot where Tyler had planted the pearl necklace, she found a small plastic card. Military Dependent ID Lily Ingram. Emergency contact, First Lieutenant Darcy Ingram. The nurse dialed the number at 9:37. I was sitting on my hotel bed 12 minutes away, staring at the ceiling, counting the hours until Rivera could file the revocation paperwork, when my phone rang with a local number. This is County General Hospital. We have your daughter, Lily Ingram. She was brought in by police about 20 minutes ago. I was in my car before the nurse finished explaining. I drove 11 minutes in the rain. Parked crooked in the emergency lot. Ran through the sliding doors. A nurse pointed me down the hall. Room 4. Lily in a hospital bed. IV drip in her left arm. Monitors beeping. Her hair still damp. Her eyes closed. I sat down beside her. Took her hand. I'm here. I'm not leaving. Her eyes opened. Mommy? Yeah, baby, I'm right here. In her other hand, crumpled against her palm, was a drawing. 2 stick figures. One small, one in green, holding hands. 20 minutes later, a woman in a gray cardigan and glasses knocked on the open door. Badge on a lanyard. Clipboard under her arm. I'm Nancy Odom, hospital social worker. Do you have a moment? I didn't let go of Lily's hand. Come in. She pulled a chair to the foot of the bed and sat down. Professional. Careful. The kind of careful that meant she'd done this before and knew how it went. I'm required by law to file a report with Child Protective Services. An 8-year-old was admitted tonight with exposure injuries, and no legal guardian present at the time of incident. I understand. Can you tell me your relationship to the patient? I'm her mother, Darcy Ingram, First Lieutenant, United States Army, currently stationed at Fort Campbell. I handed her my military ID. She copied the information onto her form. Who was responsible for Lily this evening? My parents, Ray and Connie Ingram. They're her designated caregivers under my military family care plan. Was she sent out of the house? I believe so. The neighbor who called 911, her name is Phyllis Calloway. She lives next door. She can confirm what she saw. Nancy wrote for a full minute without looking up. Then she said, CPS will open an investigation within 24 hours. An investigator will contact the caregivers and conduct interviews. I understand. She looked at me over her glasses. Is there anything else you want me to know? My daughter has been living with my parents for just over a year. I have documentation of ongoing concerns. School counselor reports, behavioral observations, communication logs. I can provide all of it. Please do. After she left, I called Rivera. It's happening. CPS is filing tonight. I'm driving to Campbell now. I'll be there by morning. I didn't make a single accusation. I just answered her questions. The system moved on its own. 1 hour and 12 minutes after I arrived at the hospital, the door to room 4 opened again. My father walked in. He saw Lily first. Small body in a hospital bed. IV tube running to her arm. Monitors blinking green. Her pajamas had been replaced with a hospital gown 2 sizes too big. The color left his face like someone pulled a plug. Then he turned and saw me. Sitting in the chair beside the bed, still wearing my army jacket. The one with my name stitched over the left pocket. His hands started shaking. Both of them. Fingers trembling against his thighs like he was trying to hold something that kept slipping. You can't be here. How did you get here? I've been here for an hour, Dad. You're supposed to be overseas. You're deployed. I came back early. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Nothing came out. My mother came in behind him. She saw Lily and her hand flew to her mouth. Then she saw me and she started crying instantly. The kind of crying that already had words loaded behind it. If you'd been here, none of this would have happened. I looked at her, held her gaze. I trusted you to be here for her, Mom. My father tried to regain footing. The girl stole your mother's necklace. No, she didn't. Tyler is 10 years old, and we're not going to have this conversation in a hospital room. A nurse appeared in the doorway. I need to ask the visitors to keep their voices down, please. I stood up. Not fast, not aggressive, just stood. Dad, Mom, I think you should leave. CPS will be contacting you tomorrow. My father's face shifted from pale to red in 2 seconds. CPS? You called CPS on your own parents? The hospital did. Because that's what happens when an 8-year-old ends up in the emergency room during a thunderstorm with no guardian. He opened his mouth to argue. I waited. He closed it. They left without another word. My mother's crying echoed down the hallway long after the elevator doors closed. The hospital went quiet after midnight. Fluorescent lights dimmed to a low hum. Shoes squeaked on linoleum. Someone's monitor beeped down the hall in a slow, patient rhythm. I pulled my chair closer to Lily's bed and rested my elbows on the railing. She woke up around 1 a.m. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked at me like she wasn't sure I was real. Am I in trouble? No, baby. You are never in trouble for telling the truth. She was quiet for a while. Then she said, in a voice so small it barely reached the pillow, Tyler put the necklace in my bag. I saw him do it after school. He went into the guest room when he thought I was upstairs, but I was on the stairs. I saw. Why didn't you tell Grandpa? Because Grandpa wouldn't listen. He never listens when it's about Tyler. I smoothed her hair back from her forehead. It was still damp at the roots. I know. And I'm going to make sure the right people listen this time. She closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Her grip on my hand loosened but didn't let go. I sat in the dark for a long time after that, listening to the monitors, watching the IV drip count seconds. Then I opened my phone and typed an email to Rivera. Subject line: Evidence Package, CPS Investigation Ingram. I attached the school counselor's session notes, the scanned drawings, Mrs. Calloway's phone number, and a summary of our conversation, the hospital intake form the nurse had given me, my family care plan documentation, every screenshot, every log entry, every line from the green notebook. I had spent 2 years trusting the wrong people with my daughter. That night, sitting in that hospital chair, I started trusting the right ones. 72 hours later, my parents walked into a room they never expected to see. My daughter was in a hospital bed because the people I trusted most threw her into a storm. I did not scream. I did not threaten. I let the system do what it was built to do. If you know what it is like to stay calm when everything inside you wants to break, this next part is for you. Keep watching. Ms. Torres arrived at my parents' house on Monday morning at 9:15. CPS investigator. 14 years on the job. Short hair. No-nonsense posture. A leather portfolio thick with forms. She interviewed Ray and Connie separately. Standard protocol. My father's version. The girl was acting out. I told her to sit on the porch and think about what she'd done. She ran off on her own. My mother's version. Ray was upset. She went outside for some air. I thought she'd come right back in. Torres wrote both statements down. Then she noted the discrepancy. He said he told her to sit on the porch. She said Lily went outside for air. One was an order. The other was a choice. They couldn't both be true. Next, Torres interviewed Mrs. Calloway at her kitchen table. Phyllis had her own notes. She'd been writing things down since November, times and dates and what she heard through the shared wall between the houses. He opened the front door, Mrs. Calloway said. He pushed the child's backpack at her. She was in her pajamas. No shoes. He told her to get out. Torres looked up from her notebook. Those were his exact words? He said, "Get out. I don't need a lying granddaughter." Then he slammed the door. I called 911 within 30 seconds. Torres wrote the quote in block letters. Underlined it. That sentence, cold and short and final, went into the official CPS file. Not as hearsay, not as allegation, as a direct witness statement from a 70-year-old woman with no motive to lie and a clear view from her kitchen window. My father had spent 61 years controlling the narrative inside his house. He didn't know that the walls were thinner than he thought. The child specialist assigned to Tyler's interview was named Dr. Kessler. Young, patient, trained in forensic interview techniques for minors. Jenna was present in the room, per protocol, but was instructed not to coach or interrupt. Tyler sat across a small table with a cup of juice and a stress ball. Tyler, can you tell me what happened with the necklace? I saw Lily put it in her backpack. What time was that? After school. Where were you when you saw her? In the kitchen. Where was Lily? In the hallway. Can you see the hallway from the kitchen? Tyler paused. I was in the hallway too. Were you in the kitchen or the hallway? He squeezed the stress ball. The living room. I saw her from the living room. 3 locations in 30 seconds. Kessler didn't point it out. She just wrote. Tyler, sometimes kids feel pressure to say things because they're scared or because someone told them to. It's okay to tell the truth here. Nothing bad will happen to you. Tyler looked at his mother. Jenna's face was stone. I put it in her bag. Jenna's voice cut in immediately. He's confused. He doesn't know what he's saying. Kessler. Ma'am, please let Tyler finish. Tyler stared at the stress ball. His voice dropped to a whisper. Mom told me Lily needs to learn her place. She said if Lily got in trouble, Grandpa would send her away and things would go back to normal. Jenna stood up. Tyler didn't look at her. The room went very quiet. Torres conducted Jenna's interview in a separate room. By then, she had Tyler's statement, Mrs. Calloway's account, and the documented history from the school counselor. Mrs. Walsh, did you instruct your son to place the necklace in Lily's backpack? Jenna's jaw tightened. That's ridiculous. Tyler is 10. He makes things up. Your son stated that you told him Lily needs to learn her place. He also stated that you said if Lily got in trouble, your father would send her away. He's a child. You're going to believe a child over me? Torres set her pen down and looked at Jenna without blinking. Ma'am, I believed a child's lie when it put an 8-year-old in the hospital. So yes, I take children's statements seriously. Jenna pushed her chair back. I'm calling my lawyer. That's your right. This investigation will proceed regardless. Torres placed the pearl necklace on the table in a clear evidence bag. It had been recovered from Lily's backpack at the hospital and catalogued by the responding officer. This necklace was planted in an 8-year-old girl's bag by a 10-year-old boy who was told to do so by his mother. The result was a child being expelled from her home during a severe thunderstorm without shoes, without a jacket, and without supervision. She spent 3 hours alone in a storm drain. Jenna stared at the necklace. The pearls caught the overhead light. They looked smaller under fluorescence than they ever did on my mother's dresser. She didn't say another word. She picked up her phone and left the room. The supervised meeting took place at the CPS County office on Wednesday afternoon. A rectangular table. Overhead, fluorescent lights. A recording device in the center. On one side, my parents. My father in a button-down he'd ironed himself. My mother in the cardigan she wore to church. Their lawyer, a man named Lester, sat between them. On the other side, me. Captain Rivera in her dress uniform. My documentation in a manila folder. At the head of the table, Ms. Torres. Jenna was not present. She had refused to attend after Tyler's interview. Torres opened by presenting her findings. Inconsistent statements from Ray and Connie. Tyler's admission. Mrs. Calloway's witness account. School counselor documentation spanning 6 months. Hospital records confirming Lily's injuries. My father tried to interrupt twice. Both times, Lester put a hand on his arm. The third time, my father couldn't hold it. This is a family matter. You're turning a discipline issue into... Torres. Mr. Ingram, an 8-year-old, was hospitalized with hypothermia. This is a child welfare matter. My mother started crying. Quiet tears that ran down the lines in her face. We love Lily. We made a mistake. One mistake. I looked at her across the table, kept my voice level. You said if I'd been here, none of this would have happened, but I trusted you to be here for her. That was my only mistake, and I won't make it again. Rivera opened my folder. Family Care Plan Revocation, already filed. Request for sole custody review, submitted to family court. Documentation of the $1,200 per month my parents had received for childcare. All of it on the record. My father stared at the stack of paperwork. You're going to throw your own family away over this? You threw my daughter into a storm, Dad. I'm building her a roof. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Torres delivered the preliminary findings at the end of the meeting. Substantiated report of child neglect against Ray and Connie Ingram. Recommendation: no unsupervised access to Lily Ingram pending comprehensive review. All future contact to occur at a monitored visitation facility, bi-weekly, 2-hour sessions. Rivera confirmed. Family care plan officially revoked. Lily's legal guardianship reverted to me. The custody order would be formalized through family court within 30 days. My father stood up. His chair scraped the floor. His hands were shaking again. The same way they had at the hospital. The same tremor that started in his fingers and worked its way to his wrists. Darcy. She's my granddaughter. She is. And that's exactly why this has to happen. My mother reached across the table for my arm. Her fingers brushed my sleeve. I gently pulled my hand away. Not fast. Not angry. Just a boundary. Mom, I love you. But loving someone doesn't mean letting them hurt your child. She pulled her hand back and pressed it against her mouth. Lester stood and gathered his papers. He looked at my parents with the face of a man who knew his clients had no defense. He shook Torres's hand, nodded at Rivera, and guided Ray and Connie toward the door. My father stopped in the doorway. He turned back, opened his mouth. Then he looked at the table where the paperwork sat. The revocation, the custody request, the witness statements, the hospital records, and closed it. He left without saying another word. My mother followed him. The door clicked shut. I walked out of the CPS office into a hallway that smelled like floor cleaner and burnt coffee. Lily was in the lobby. Rivera's paralegal, a young sergeant named Kim, had been reading her a book from the waiting room shelf. Something about a dog who lost his bone. Lily looked up when she heard my footsteps. She slid off the chair and ran to me. Her arms went around my waist. She pressed her face into my jacket. "Are we going home?" "Yes, baby, we're going home." She pulled back and looked up at me. "Our home?" "Our home." I took her hand. Her backpack hung from one shoulder. I could see the edge of the military-dependent ID card still clipped to the inside pocket. The same card I'd put there the night before I deployed. I had put that card on her because I trusted my parents to keep her safe. But when the system failed and the people failed and the storm came, that small piece of plastic with my name on it was what brought her back to me. Not my parents, not my sister. A laminated card and a nurse who dialed the number on the back. We walked out into the parking lot. The sun was out. First clear day in a week. I didn't look back. 3 months later, Lily and I were living on base at Fort Campbell. Small apartment, 2 bedrooms. Her room had lavender curtains she picked out herself, and a desk where she drew every evening after dinner. I had been reassigned to a desk position, logistics coordination, stateside. No deployments for at least 12 months. My commander signed off without hesitation. Family court had formalized the custody order in April. Sole physical and legal custody to me. My parents were granted supervised visitation, 2 hours every other Saturday, at a monitored facility 20 minutes from their house. A social worker present for every visit. The first visit was in May. My father brought Lily a coloring book. Horses and flowers. He set it on the table between them and sat down in a plastic chair. He didn't know what to say. Lily didn't either. They colored together for 45 minutes. My father asked her about school. She told him about her art class. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't mention Tyler or Jenna or the necklace or the storm. When the 2 hours ended, he stood up and said, "I'll see you in 2 weeks, Lily." She said, "Okay, Grandpa." He walked out to the parking lot and sat in his truck for 10 minutes before driving away. I know because the social worker told me. Jenna had not contacted me since the CPS meeting. Derek, her husband, came back from his oil rig rotation and had to be told the full story. They enrolled Tyler in counseling, per CPS requirement. Tyler sent Lily a handwritten note that arrived in June. "I'm sorry I lied about the necklace. I hope you're not mad." Lily asked me if she had to write back. I said it was her choice. She wrote back 3 days later. "It's okay. I hope you're doing better." My mother called me every Sunday evening. The conversations were short. "How is Lily?" "She's doing well, Mom." "Can I send her something?" "You can send it to our address." "Darcy, The schedule is set, Mom. We'll see you on Saturday." My father's hand still shook when he saw Lily at the visitation center. I didn't know if it was guilt or fear or something he didn't have a name for yet. But he sat in that room for 2 hours every other Saturday, and he never raised his voice. He never said, "lying granddaughter," again. Not once. I used to think protecting my daughter meant making sure she had a roof and food and people around her. I was wrong. Protecting her meant making sure the people around her deserved to be there. And when they didn't, it meant having the courage to be the one who said enough. Not with a scream, not with revenge, just with the truth, a stack of paperwork, and a mother who finally came home. That is my story. One storm, one lie, and one mother who came home just in time. If this reminded you that protecting your child is never overreacting, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for being here. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.